Lamar Jackson needed to win that game. I said it. People on national television said it. Hell, people out of Baltimore. I think Lamar Jackson even said it. We're going to talk about Kevin Durant in a second. Or we're going to talk about Kevin Durant later in the show. But the question is, what makes somebody great? And the question is, what makes somebody a quote-unquote all-timer? And in football, the quarterback is always going to get the most blame and the most praise. And when we talk about greatness at the quarterback position, because the margin of error is so small, not margin of error, because the margin of differences is so small, meaning because of the play style and because of because of abilities that Lamar Jackson may be better than in some people, I don't think there's a wide gap. I think there's a gap, but I don't think there's a wide gap between Patrick Mahomes' talent level and Lamar Jackson's talent level. I think that there's things that Patrick Mahomes does much better than Lamar Jackson, but I also think that there's things that Lamar Jackson does much better than Patrick Mahomes. I don't think that there's much of a talent gap between a Lamar Jackson and a Joe Burrow, between a Lamar Jackson or Josh Allen, between the great quarterbacks. But because I don't think there's much of a distance between talents, that's when you have to start putting in accolades. That's when accolades matter the most. That's one of the reasons why I'm so critical on someone like a Justin Herbert or someone like a Trevor Lawrence, because they have the talent to be in that Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson discussion. But once you start putting him in there, the accolades don't match up at all. So going into this Baltimore Ravens, Houston Texans game, Lamar Jackson he had the talent, but he just didn't have the postseason accolades. He had the regular season MVP. He's likely going to have his second MVP. He has the rushing records. He has the Baltimore Ravens records. But it was that postseason that was a major scar in the Lamar Jackson is one of, if not the best quarterback in the league argument. Because what they would say is, well, if Lamar Jackson is that, why is he only 1-3 in the playoffs? At that point, it's like, yeah. Now, I was on the table saying that those teams are different teams. True. Very true. And this Lamar Jackson is much better than that Lamar Jackson. Very true. But your record is your record. What is on you is on you. And he needed to get over that proverbial hump to quiet some naysayers. And I say some naysayers because people hate being wrong. It's very wrong. It's very hard for somebody to admit when they're wrong. In fact, there are people that will go to their dying grave knowing that they're wrong, but will never admit that they're wrong. That's life. There's people in your family. There's people in my family. There's people that we see on a day-to-day basis that will die on that wrong hill. And people that say Lamar Jackson can't throw the ball know they're wrong. People that say people that think or that said that Lamar Jackson can't play quarterback in the league, they know they're wrong. People that said that Lamar Jackson can't develop into a pocket passer, even they know they're wrong. People that said that Lamar Jackson is just a bona fide running back or a wide receiver and isn't smart enough to develop into an NFL type quarterback, they know they're wrong. But most of them will never admit it. So most of them will die on that hill of Lamar Jackson isn't that good. Lamar Jackson isn't this. Lamar Jackson isn't that. Even though they know they're wrong, they will not admit it. It's very rare for podcasters like myself to even come here. I said I was wrong. I've been wrong on several occasions. I came across an old blog that I used to do when I was in college. It was an assignment. We had to create a blog, and we had to have like 2 or 3, maybe even 4 entries weekly. And I remember saying with confidence too that what's his name? Boy. Oh man, Josh. There was somebody I totally. In fact, I'm going to look it up because there was. I need to tell you guys what I said to let you know how wrong I was. Because I was extremely and that's it. I said in 2017 that Josh Jackson, remember Josh Jackson? He's still in the league, but remember Josh Jackson from Kansas and how there was a huge debate between Josh Jackson and Jason Tatum, who was going to be better in the NBA, who was more NBA ready, who was going to have a better NBA career, who should go above who. Well, I was on that Josh Jackson is going to have a better career and is more NBA ready than Jason Tatum. I said that. I said that. You see how wrong I was. And it's cool to admit that. But there are some people that will never admit that. So getting back to this game, Lamar Jackson not only needed to win this game for his own story, but he needed to win this game because of how the dominoes were lining up. Spoiler alert, newsflash, it's very hard to win a championship in any sport. It's very hard to win in any sport. These are professional teams, professional athletes that we're going against. And there are some times, and this is going back to the first point, this is why I got on Josh Allen so many times. And this is why I was standing on that the Bills are masquerading as Super Bowl champion or Super Bowl caliber teams, because it's very rare. It happens at times. Sometimes it happens, sometimes it doesn't. But it's very rare. But there are occasions where everything lines up for you. Everything lines up for your team to essentially make a deep playoff run, to essentially win a Super Bowl. Everything lines up in very rare instances. For the Bills, this has happened maybe twice. When they had a shot to play Joe Burrow at home, it was snowing. That was their shot. They blew that one. They had Kansas City Chiefs, one of the weakest Kansas City Chiefs, at least offenses, Patrick Mahomes has had. And you're at home, first away game for Patrick Mahomes. You blew that one. If you look at this Baltimore Ravens team, everything is lining up for them. The stars are aligning for Baltimore. Lamar Jackson is having one of his best statistical seasons he's had in his career. He's about to win his second MVP. And this is by far the best team that he has ever had. This isn't the first time he's been number one in the AFC. Don't get me wrong. But this is by far the best team that he has ever had. Whether we talk about having the wide receiver core with Zay Flowers and Odell Beckham Jr., or having Isaiah Likely emerge as a top target, seeing as though Mark Andrews was out. The running game, they're down to the third and fourth string running backs, but Gus Edwards and Hall, they're good. And then you also have Dalvin Cook, who made some plays. And then on the defense side of the ball, this is the best defense they've ever had with Roquan Smith and Jadeveon Clowney and Marlon Humphreys and Kyle Hamilton. And I think his name is Metabitsi. And Patrick Queen. The Baltimore Ravens pretty much demolished through the first or regular season. Yes, they had 3 losses, maybe 4 losses. I'm not going to really count the last one against the Steelers because nobody played. So they had pretty much 3 losses, and all 3 of those losses, they were up in every single game with 2 minutes to go in the game. But they did a demolition job on the 49ers. They did a demolition job on the Dolphins. They did a demolition job on the Lions. This was the year. So, and the Baltimore Ravens looked all of a Super Bowl, looked like all of a Super Bowl caliber team. So this was the year that Lamar Jackson had to win. Had to. There's nothing, barring an injury, which, knock on wood, I don't hope for anyone. There was nothing that you could have said to me to justify Baltimore losing this game if they would have lost. And don't get me wrong, that's even coming off of how good the Houston Texans have been. Shouts out to the Houston Texans, man. The fact that they got here with a first-year coach, first-year quarterback, a first-year defensive star is incredible. And there was not a lot of people, but there were some people that said, no, CJ Stroud has been great, which he has, and he is likely or possible to win the Offensive Rookie of the Year. You can see a lane where they where they could have lost, that is the Baltimore Ravens, but Lamar Jackson needed this win. And the Baltimore Ravens beat the Houston Texans 34-10. It was shaky in the beginning, and like I said, it was going to be rust. I said if there was one thing that can beat the Baltimore Ravens, it was injuries and rust. And they looked rusty as hell the first half of this game. They went into halftime tied 10-10. And CJ Stroud played as good as he could, but along with playing against this defense is tough on anyone. But they looked extremely rusty. They looked like a team that was off to some of these players 3 weeks. Because remember, a lot of the starters didn't play in the Steelers game. So a lot of these players haven't played an NFL game in 3 weeks. And it looked like it. But come second half, the Baltimore Ravens looked all of the team that they look like this entire year. Lamar Jackson threw for 152 yards and ran for 100 yards. And they essentially demolished the Houston Texans. And I'm not saying, I think that proverbial monkey is not off of Lamar Jackson's back, because I think a lot of people, I'm going to hold him to, I think Lamar Jackson's still great, whether you win or not. But I think a lot of people expected them to beat the Texans, seeing as though the Texans were the second youngest team in the playoffs next to the Green Bay Packers. I think the test and the defining moment of Lamar Jackson's career is going to come on Saturday, going against the Kansas City Chiefs. Now, again, shouts out, and I'm not overlooking, shouts out to the Houston Texans for getting this far. Because no one, and I mean no one, expected the Texans not only to be this good, but to even have a say in the divisional round. Again, this is the same Texans team that was fighting tooth and nail to get into the playoffs with the Jaguars. And if it wasn't for the Jaguars stumbling in the last game against the Titans, there was a good shot that the Texans might not even make it. Now, they essentially had to beat the Colts, but you know. But shouts out to the Ravens for beating the Houston Texans 34-10. Oh, man, you stayed to the end of the video. I appreciate you. If you like what you saw, be sure to hit that subscribe button so you'll never miss any content from your boy. You can also go back and watch past episodes, past clips, and don't forget that the Unpopular Podcast, new episodes drop every Wednesday and Saturday. Appreciate you.